Hi, Jen.
Hi, good morning.
I'm Amber Jacques, the elementary principal at Lone Tree, and I have Jen Wright here, career teacher, teaching 3rd grade. And today we are meeting about her individual teacher professional development plan. And Jen, if we could go back and just reflect a little bit on what your last year's plan all involved, and then we'll move forward from there with what we'll discuss about what we think should go in this year's plan.
Okay. Well, last year our district was shifting over from the type of teaching we were doing, and so now that it's standards-based teaching, and so we focus more on student-centered learning as well as using assessments, pre and post assessments to assess students' understanding and meeting with students based on their level of understanding in different ways.
Okay, and we're currently doing that practice
Correct.
in the classroom still, and as you said, pre and post assessments based on their level of understanding. Okay, so let's talk about some of the strengths that we agreed upon in your post-conference with the teaching standards. We talked about how the teaching is aligned, just like you said, with the district expectations. We talked about your instruction aligning with students' interests and knowledge. Classroom management was a strength. So all of those things meeting the Iowa teaching standards. But let's reflect on what we talked about as far as the growth area.
Okay. We had discussed that I had wanted to make some improvements in my differentiation for students with special needs,
Okay.
as well as my collaboration, effective collaboration time with the special needs teachers to help meet the needs of the students I have in my room.
Okay, and so when you're talking about that new area of growth, do you feel that that would align with your current plan, or how do you feel that would?
Oh, I definitely feel that it would align with that, because it's taking what the students already know or able to do and helping them progress in their learning no matter what level they are at. So that would definitely apply to that as well.
Okay, and the reason that we talked about the growth in that area, again, remember, is that 2 of the students were pulled out, but basically doing the same lesson. And so could you elaborate a little bit on some strategies that you feel you're currently doing in the classroom that may help with that shift in the current plan that we're talking about?
Currently, those students, I sometimes shorten any assignments that we would be doing if they're in the room. I would have, they're sometimes buddied up with someone else, so that person can do any of the reading or scribing if they need that to be done. I give them preferential seating so that they're seated next to somebody who can help them. I adjust the kind of the pace at which I'm teaching. And I have a lot of visual clues for those students, and as opposed to nonverbal.
Okay, would you say that those are strategies that are more tailored to independent work, the group instruction, or what would, when are those strategies mostly implemented?
I would say it would probably be more tailored towards independent work or independent practice, not necessarily a whole group instruction, but when they're being asked to practice something in the classroom.
Good. So we talk about changing or differentiating some instruction in the classroom to meet the needs of all kids, and as well as collaborating with the special education teacher. So what part of the planning with the special education teacher do you feel that you might need more support with, or the most support with?
I think it's just going to be taking the Iowa core, which is something, as a teacher, I'm trying to learn and unpack myself with students in the general population. What does that look like for students with special needs? So are we expecting them to be meeting the standard at the way it looks like for other students, and kind of breaking that down a little bit more.
Okay.
And then knowing what is assessing their real understanding, having assessments that we can then know whether or not they have that skill mastered or attaining mastery.
Good. And when you talk about assessment, you already mentioned you do a pre-assessment and a post-assessment. And so one of those areas for focus might be, just as you said, how do we assess them? And so when you and the special education teacher collaborate, looking at different ways to assess students. And we've talked before about how you can do those things either verbally, chunk them, break it down into smaller pieces, doing some of those things so that those kids are more successful.
That's what I would want help with, is the chunking and breaking it into smaller pieces to know what to focus on with them.
Okay, good. And then when do you feel that after you and the special education teacher maybe have met and you've made this plan and you've implemented some of these strategies either with the instruction or the assessment, how do you feel that instruction after might look differently, or what's going to need to happen with those students if they did not get it?
There would need to be time available for us to, or we would have to find that time that we could provide them with an intervention, or maybe the special education teacher would push in for some of that time. Yeah.
Okay. So when we're talking about your area of growth, we want to talk about a little bit of an action plan, and we talked about the goal being, again, that the students will maybe increase the amount of time that they're in your classroom for those activities that they may do that are the same.
Practice with the part, yes.
Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about what sort of action plan do you think that we will need to have in place in order for that to happen?
I think there needs to be some type of systematic time every week where the special ed teacher and I can have an outlined goal of what we're going to talk about that particular day. And right now, I think I want that to be with the assessment piece, and then maybe something that we can document what we are moving forward, and I could possibly meet with you every once in a while to check on that progress.
Okay. Yeah, when we're talking about meeting, we obviously know that time is always such a precious commodity that we have, and it's such a constraint for us. You know, and then in next year when we're working in PLCs, and that will help, you know, when we have that data in front of us all of the time, and that time is actually built in. And so it is one of those that, as part of the action plan, it will have to be systematic, and you know, you'll have to make sure that we stick to meeting in those times so that we are able to make progress in this area. When you're talking about taking notes and having a goal for the day, I think if we would create a data log together that maybe has the minutes and the goal, and just kind of take notes so that we can recap every other week, so that we can see where each other is on meeting this goal, would be very beneficial. Are there any other resources or support areas that you feel that you would, you know, maybe reach out to, or that I can help do to help you meet this goal?
Anything that where I could be learning from another teacher about some of those strategies, especially for informal assessments. Anything like that would be helpful to me. Not just for those students that were, but in general.
Okay, so peer observations.
Peer observations, or resources where I could even, you know, see videos or things like that. So.
Okay. The other, once in a while we see that the AEA provides some classes on differentiated instruction and things like that, and so that would also be another learning opportunity for you to do that as well. Very good. So let's just again recap. If you could just recap a little bit for me on the goal, the plan, and where we go from here, that would be great.
Okay, so my goal is to improve my communication with the special education teacher to meet the needs of my special needs students in the area of assessment and chunking instruction for them, so that they can get that, they can master some of the Common Core skills as well. And I would like to be systematically meeting with a special education teacher and having a clear outline of what our goal is going to look like, collecting data on that, and then having something to reflect on with guidance from you at a later time.
Okay, good. I think that if you could, you know, start by getting your assessment data, what you currently have on those two students in the area of math, and then you and I can meet with the special education teacher to go through the plan so that she understands what's going on here and what the goal is. I think that that would be a great start for us, and we can start to move forward with that.
Okay,
Good.
great, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.